Well, good morning and welcome back from the weekend. I'm Olive Monica Najama here to welcome you on Good Morning Uganda, a program that starts every morning of your single day, Monday to Friday. So we are glad that you are starting your fresh new week with us here. Today, we will be looking at different topics of discussion. Among those is skills development for the youth for a better Uganda, but also so much more coming your way in terms of sports updates, news updates, to mention but a few. So stick around because it is a very loaded program today that you're going to enjoy, and most especially you will be educated but also inspired. Now, I am with the two gentlemen that I do this with every single morning, and right next to me is Jerome Paul Sonko. Good morning.
Good morning, Olive, and good morning to our dear viewer. Here we are. The month of November looks promising a little bit, but the best of this month is yet to come, I want to believe. And the good thing is that at least we are moving in a 50-50 kind of situation, if you're to ask me.
Why 50-50?
Why 50-50? The good side of everything is that there is some positive news coming in. The 50% is that, well, it seems we still have a long way to go until the year ends. However much we are getting closer to the end of it all. But when I look back from my personal kind of visions that I set for 2024, I feel I still have a long way to go to achieve, but at least maybe I've achieved the 50% of that. One is being alive, good health, and pretty much seeing some progress in one way or the other. But in terms of the financial aspects of things, I'm only hoping for the better by the end of the year.
That makes all of us.
But besides that, Olive, from the side of the religious denominations,
yes,
the Catholic fraternity, according to what is coming in this morning, is that the Kampala Metropolitan Police is investigating a case of attempted arson in the fire that burnt part of the Chigungu Mapera Catholic sub-parish on Thursday night last week. So they are trying to go through and investigate to see what was behind the fire of one of the historic Catholic churches in the country.
Wow, and we will be surely bringing you the details regarding that the minute police is done with the investigations. But now I want to swing to Studio B and check on Chirabo Robert Nyonyintono. Good morning, Mr. Nyonyintono.
Wow, you look so good.
Thank you.
I love the dress. I wonder why Sonko didn't notice that.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because and yet you're just standing next to him. Me, the lonely wolf, I'm okay here, but I wonder why he doesn't. Otherwise, good morning to you. Good morning, our viewer, and thank you so much for waking up with us. Welcome back from the weekend. I hope it was a very good weekend for you. Well, the president has been moving on a wealth creation tour. We've seen him in Palisa, Ukedia there, and at every position or every site he went to, he was encouraging Ugandans to take advantage of the infrastructure in the country, the road network and all that, for them to create wealth. Now, yesterday I was in the district of Nakaseke, and I traversed that entire district. But one thing I noticed is we still have to do so much when it comes to the roads that go off the main road. Are they called the feeder roads?
Yes.
Because much as cows may not complain, my sack of coffee may not complain, truth is either these districts need to be empowered to work on these roads, because some places you can hardly take your car and bring it back and not rush to a mechanic. So we need to work more on those. Yes, we have these connectors, they're very good, but when you go off the main road, much as the farmers, and now I discovered why even the middlemen exploit them. Because if the road network is very, very poor down there, at the end of the day, if I'm coming to get your goods, take them to market, and I have to take my car to a garage every trip I make, then I must ensure I buy you very low, because I'm in business to maximize profits. So it's a call to the districts. We heard that government gave them road units, you know, Why are they not using them?
Interesting questions, Robert, and that's how we have started our Monday, and that is just a hint or a tip of the iceberg when it comes to the conversations that we will be having here on Good Morning Uganda going forward. But for now, let's delve into the local news.
And we'll begin with President Yoweri Museveni, who has tipped Ugandans to tap into the infrastructure development such as roads and electricity provided by the government to eliminate poverty. The president was addressing residents from Bukedia sub-region who converged in Palisa district at the end of his 3-day wealth creation tour in the area. Still, President Yoweri Museveni has approved a plan that will enable graduates from the zonal presidential industrial hubs to borrow startup capital for their enterprises. President Museveni made the remarks yesterday while commissioning the Bukedia Zonal Presidential Industrial Hub in Kibuku district. The Bukedia Industrial Hub is among the 19 hubs spread across the country under the Presidential Initiative on Skilling, with an aim of combating unemployment among the youth through equipping them with vocational skills and ushering them into the money economy. President Yoweri Museveni has urged private universities to equip demand-driven skills for graduates to compete in the job market. This was disclosed by the Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, at the 30th graduation ceremony of Bugema University. The Vice Chancellor of Bugema University, Pastor Dr. Masiko Israel Kafero, appealed to the President to fulfill the pledge to the university. And finally, on the local scene, at the ongoing Conference for Innovators in Kigali, Rwanda, State Minister for Youth and Children Affairs, Baram Bargahara, has called upon African youth to work together to create jobs. Speaking to innovators and young entrepreneurs, the minister promised that the Uganda government is ready to provide financial assistance to their products and initiatives to promote job creation and economic growth in Uganda.
Well, now coming back, we look at what is happening on the international scene, and we'll start by going to Moscow in Russia. Russia and Ukraine have carried out their largest drone attacks against each other since the start of the war. Russia's defense ministry said it intercepted 84 Ukrainian drones over 6 regions, including some approaching Moscow, which forced flights to be diverted from 3 of the capital's major airports. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia launched 145 drones towards every part of the country on Saturday night, with most shot down. The barrages come amid expectations that U.S. President-elect Donald Trump may put pressure on both sides to end the conflict. Ukraine's attempted strike on Moscow was also its biggest attack on the capital since the war began, and was described as massive by the region's governor. Most of the drones were downed in Ramenskoye, Kolomna and Domodedovo districts, this according to officials. Now moving on, United States President-elect Donald Trump and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz have agreed to work for a return to peace in Europe in their first call since the US election, this according to a German government spokesperson. Both exchanged views on the German-American relationship and the current geopolitical challenges, Scholz spokesperson Stefan Hebstreit said in a statement on Sunday. The Chancellor underlined the government's willingness to continue the decades-long successful cooperation between the governments of both countries. They also agreed to work together towards a return to peace in Europe. Trump's return to the White House is being closely watched in Europe for how it might affect Russia's war in Ukraine. Trump, who has criticized U.S. President Joe Biden's support of Kyiv, has claimed that Russia would never have invaded Ukraine if he were president, and that he would be able to end the conflict in 24 hours. Now moving on, flooding in South Sudan has displaced more than 379,000 people, according to a United Nations update that warned about a surge in malaria. Aid agencies have said the world's youngest country, highly vulnerable to climate change, is in the grip of its worst flooding in decades, mainly in the north. The floods have affected about 1.4 million people. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said on Friday across 43 counties and the disputed Abyei region, which is claimed by both South Sudan and the Sudan. It added in a statement that more than 379 people were displaced in 22 countries and in Abyei. A surge in malaria has been reported in Jonglei, Unity, Upper Nile, Northern Bar, El Ghazal, Central Equatoria and Western Equatoria states, overwhelming the health system and exacerbating the situation and impact in flood-hit areas. This according to the UN agency. Now we cross over into the press and see what the papers have for us today.
Well, and with the New Vision this Monday morning, the main report is government changes university entry process. The details of Senior 6 application changes to tertiary institutions out, and you can find that and more in page 2 of today's New Vision. Now, varsity, the varsity quiz, how the teams battled, and in the GROW project, cabinet reduces interest rates, according to the New Vision. Then what next for the coffee sector? The bigger question here in the New Vision. In between the line, Parliament last week passed the National Coffee Bill 2024, which seeks to dissolve the Uganda Coffee Development Authority and transfer it to the Agriculture Ministry. Now the refinery deal closes in 2 weeks, according to the New Vision. Also wealth creation, Museveni tours Bukeddi sub-region. There is a pictorial of the president is tour to the Bukeddi sub-region, as well as he was waving to his supporters and the NRM faithfuls in the Bukeddi sub-region. That is a report you can find still with the New Vision. Now elsewhere, we move to the Daily Monitor in today's press review as well. A new law bites loan sharks, according to what the Daily Monitor is sharing. And of course, the Daily Monitor is also quoting some of the different government heads. One, according to the Attorney General, the Attorney General amended the motion to read, the minister shall by notice in Gazette prescribe a maximum interest which a moneylender shall charge from time to time, provided the first notice shall be issued by the minister not later than 60 days. Now in defense, this is a liberal economy and everyone looks for his or her own capital, even for the banks that take deposits from the customers. You don't cap the interest rates, but you would, but why would you cap it for those whose capital is unknown? These people will raise their own capital that lend out. This according to Ben Kavuma, who is a from the Money Lenders Association. Now also in the same regard, you can read about the healthy living. November, a call to action for men's health. That report is also in the Daily Monitor. Now, unlike coffee, cotton exports are on a free fall, says the Daily Monitor. This is in the business updates. Then Panorama, Mbale Hospital shines but users paint dark picture. According to the other findings by the Daily Monitor, Mbale Regional Referral Hospital has continued to rank high in government surveys, yet users have a different view of the experience. Now off to Kenya, the Daily Nation. The Ruto taxes create 2 classes of Kenyans. Hard times, civil servants get an automatic pay rise of 3% every year. New findings have reported. Then how father's elusive death certificate has thwarted girl's America move. Then revealed police bid to block Gachagua from Nairobi church. More of that is in the Daily Nation. Tattoo City Wars, the inside story, find it in the Daily Nation. Now the African Union chairmanship elections, will Raila succeed where Gaddafi failed in his push for United States of Africa? Then there's also the in between the lines at a glance. President William Ruto invaded the payslips of salaried workers in February 2023 when the Court of Appeal upheld the National Social Security Fund Act number 45 of the 2013, raising a pension contribution from 200 shillings to 1.2%, half of which is paid by the worker and the other half by the employer. Now the president then hit them with a 1.5% housing levy through the Finance Act of 2023. High-income earners were also slapped with a higher pay as you earn tax in July 2023 through the same act. Now lastly, from our press reviews, the Citizen newspaper from Tanzania, cashew farmers earn 880 billion Tanzanian shillings as Mtwara Port use accelerates. Then also the cashew nut farmers are earning a total of 879.7 billion Tanzanian shillings in the past 7 weeks, courtesy of an improved trading environment, which includes designation of Mtwara Port as the export gateway for the crop. Then local government polls, uproar over mass disqualifications, government speaks out. And in the national education, you can find about what Nectar has warned against cheating as the Form 4 exam is set to begin today. Now, academics seek to reclaim lost intellectual freedom, according to what the Citizen newspaper is reporting. And then also a pictorial breakdown of how the Mtwara Port can handle up to 2 million tons of cargo annually and accommodate vessels of up to 240 meters long. The port last year handled 1.7 million tons of cargo. And according to Colonel Patrick Sewala, the Mtwara Regional Commissioner, he says, "We have seen for ourselves that there are enough operational cranes for loading cargo onto ships. And in short, this port is capable of handling all cashew nuts that are meant to be exported to the international markets this season."
Well, now, as we come back from the press review, reports indicate that 68% of Ugandans find difficulty in earning a living. There is so much more in this report, and we're going to delve into it in the press review. Stick around. But for now, we have Taras Riley with Uganda.
Much as cows may not complain, my sacks of coffee may not complain, truth is either these districts need to be empowered to work on these roads, because some places you can hardly take your car and bring it back and not rush to a mechanic. So we need to work more on those. Yes, we have these connectors, they're very good, but when you go off the main road, much as the farmers, and now I discovered why even the middlemen exploit them. Because if the road network is very, very poor down there, at the end of the day, if I'm coming to get your goods, take them to market, and I have to take my car to a garage every trip I make, then I must ensure I buy you very low, because I'm in business to maximize profits. So it's a call to the districts. We heard that government gave them road units, you know? Why are they not using them?
Interesting questions, Robert, and that's how we have started our Monday, and that is just a hint or a tip of the iceberg when it comes to the conversations that we will be having here on Good Morning Uganda going forward. But for now, let's delve into the local news.
And we'll begin with President Yoweri Museveni, who has tipped Ugandans to tap into the infrastructure development such as roads and electricity provided by the government to eliminate poverty. The president was addressing residents from Bukedia sub-region who converged in Palisa district at the end of his 3-day wealth creation tour in the area. Still, President Yoweri Museveni has approved a plan that will enable graduates from the zonal presidential industrial hubs to borrow startup capital for their enterprises. President Museveni made the remarks yesterday while commissioning the Bukedia Zonal Presidential Industrial Hub in Kibuku District. The Bukedia Industrial Hub is among the 19 hubs spread across the country under the Presidential Initiative on Skilling, with an aim of combating unemployment among the youth through equipping them with vocational skills and ushering them into the money economy. President Yoweri Museveni has urged private universities to equip demand-driven skills for graduates to compete in the job market. This was disclosed by the Vice President, Major Retired Jessica Alupo, at the 30th graduation ceremony of Bugema University. The Vice Chancellor of Bugema University, Pastor Dr. Masiko Israel Kafero, appealed to the President to fulfill the pledge to the university. And finally, on the local scene, at the ongoing conference for innovators in Kigali, Rwanda, State Minister...
This is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000, or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachikuwa. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that.
Okay.
The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, if you're just joining us, good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda. Now, if you've been here since 6:30, you are the most valued player of this Monday. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I am right next to Joram Paul Sonko. And then in Studio B, I have Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. Now, Monday being Monday, it is usually a day when most of us leave our home, warm beds, and rush off to go to work so that we can make a buck or two and make ends meet. But this is not the story for most Ugandans. A report by Twaweza, a non-government organization that tracks citizens' views on a wide range of issues, has found that over 68% of Ugandans reported that they are increasingly finding it very difficult to earn a living due to poverty. According to this report, the majority of citizens, which is 68%, indicate that securing necessities for their households has become increasingly challenging over the past 5 or 10 years. What's going on? Because in the same breath, we have seen the government having different initiatives to try and help Ugandans out of poverty, to alleviate poverty from the country. Are they working? Are they failing? Or is it because many Ugandans don't know about these initiatives or they don't know how to access them? More of these questions will be coming, and you can join the conversation through WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. The same number will be displayed on your screen, and later on I will encourage you to call in and share your views regarding the same. But now I am having this conversation with the two gentlemen, Joram Paul and Chirabo Robert, but I would like to start with Joram Paul. Joram, according to this report by Twaweza, could you explain, first of all, the key findings from the report regarding economic hardship in Uganda, and also why 68% of Ugandans report difficulties in earning a living?
Well, according to this report, Olive, is that despite the efforts that the government is doing to ensure that the majority of the Ugandans get into the money economy, there have been so many shortfalls that have been recorded over the years, especially with a third of the Ugandans who are struggling to even have 2 meals a day. And in the same report, you realize that many of these factors that have attributed to these simply because Ugandans lack information in a way, and others are falling into the basket of underprivilege. And moving into this, when you look at the percentage of the breakdown, it also shows in the same report that climate change, when you look at the 68% of those that have been termed as struggling, the majority of those, of the 68%, is that climatic changes contribute to 22% of these issues. Why is this so? Because our country is one where we've always been looking at the agricultural sector as the backbone, that at least even if a family doesn't have access to, let's say, employment, or they do not have a business somewhere, many of the families, especially in out of reach areas in the country, have always had where to grow something to eat from. So they normally have, let's say, in the backyard or at the front, they normally have where they can grow their own food. But with the climate changes that we're actually having, even before we even get into the element of access to food, when you look at the areas, for example, just recently in Bulambuli, what happened there, the mudslides swept not only homes, but also gardens, and swept food that was ready for, you know, for harvesting. These kind of seasons affect almost the underprivileged people in the country, because when you look at the people who are settled in some of these areas, many of them are only dependent on agriculture. You look at the incidents, for example, in Kasese, Kisoro. We've seen all these cases of mudslides, landslides, flooding every other year coming in. And this is a contributor to some of the reasons, because today you're settled in this area, and the next thing you're hearing is the the unfortunate bit of nature
Mudslides,
where, you know,
landslides,
floods,
floods, yes.
and at the end of the day, you're displaced from where you've been comfortable. And all of this bit of the displacement contributes to these levels. But then there's also the element of low crop yields, because the reason as to why 15% out of the 68% of the Ugandans are also struggling to find a meal or to even comfortably live within Uganda is that there is that bit of low crop yields. People are growing food, but what they are harvesting is not up to the standards they are expecting.
What's the major contributor to the low crop yields?
Low crop yields. You look at the pests and diseases that normally attack these plantations or these crops, and many of them do not even pay attention to it. Well, those who pay attention, because now agriculture has actually changed, there's a lot of modernity,
yes,
and you realize you have to be able to access all of these agricultural inputs, and not all of the Ugandans who are actively in agriculture have the money to even access or buy these products. So at the end of it all, you're having low crop yields, meaning you're getting food and you're consuming food,
so you don't
which is
have
not
enough
even
to
rich,
sell.
which is not even rich in, let's say, nutrients. And at the end of the day, you're hearing cases of malnutrition here and there, simply because people are eating food, yes, but what kind of food are they consuming? You know, at times you're rich in food, you're having all this food at your disposal, but then the food is not up to the standards. Maybe your body is not ready to kind of consume that kind of food. And that 15% is also a contributor. But then there's also another contributor to why we are in such a situation, which is limited access to education and employment. Now, Olive, today the main source of income for the majority of all of us Ugandans is employment.
That's right.
If you're not employed, you should at least be running your own business, and that is also employment, because you're now under self-employment. And when you look at the statistics again, very many Ugandans are always seeking for jobs. Universities, tertiary institutions are putting out graduates every other year. Thousands and thousands of Ugandans are seeking for jobs, but there are very limited spots for jobs. And this has forced many people to live in a dire state of poverty, where you do not have anywhere to get the money, you're only begging for a living. And even those who are working, at the end of it all, they are not earning as much as they are supposed to earn, because of the kind of, you know, the nature of the jobs and the kind of salary structures that we have in the country, quite unfavorable. And all of these are contributors to this. And then when you look at the limited access to education.
Yes. I wanted to take you back there.
Yes.
When you say limited access to education, Joram, does it mean we don't have enough schools? Does it mean schools are too expensive for many Ugandans to access? What exactly does that mean?
Now, the limited access to education would as well be limited access to quality education, because why I'm adding the quality is we have schools.
Yes.
The truth is we have schools everywhere.
We have UPE, we have USE.
We even have tertiary institutions that even offer scholarships to the many students in the country. But the quality of education differs from one is financial capacity or financial range. If you do not have enough money, you're not going to be able to access good education or good quality education. And it's something that is very visible, and you can easily observe it with even the majority of schools in urban centers, that even in the urban centers, there is that level of disparity that if at all you do not have or you do not earn this much, you may not be able to afford a certain school for your child or for your children. If at all you do not earn this much, you may not be able to take your child to this institution. So that kind of level limits so many people to the quality. And to the schools that are available and affordable, many of them do not meet the standards. And it is quite unfortunate that some of these are public schools or government-aided schools, where you expect at least the government to provide this quality education, and some of them are far from that level of quality of the education we want. And remember, the quality of the education we receive is also something that kind of predicts where your future is going to look like. Because when you have a future outlook of how many of the Ugandans are struggling, you realize that going back to where they started from, and to the fact that in a world where we are in, they do not have enough connections, then you definitely have to believe the reason as to why many are struggling is because of
the quality of education.
The quality of education
now, I will
received.
come back to you on the quality of education, because I believe there is a lot more to unpack over there. But I would like to now loop Robert Chirawa into the conversation. And Robert, Joram has really shared a lot when it comes to the findings of this report. But I would like to talk to you about employment and income challenges, with a significant portion of the population reportedly struggling. What is Uganda's current unemployment rate, and how has it changed? Like, do you have an idea or about how the unemployment rate has actually changed over the years? And of course, here we also look at how the rising cost of commodities, climate change and low agricultural yields are impacting the income of many Ugandans.
Well, first, when we talk about issues of employment and unemployment in Uganda, we must understand that we have those in the informal sector and the formal sector.
Yes.
Now, the informal sector is very hard to have the right statistics. Reason being, they are not that very organized. The formal sector, it's very easy for government to carry out research. I know that this is how much we are standing. But one of the things that I find very interesting and that Sonko talked about, that I want also to look at more, is where they have given cost of commodities. Yes? Now, we have a challenge that the cost of living and cost of commodities, even those that are in employment are finding it a challenge, not so?
Yes.
For example, look at the education sector. Sometimes you wonder how majority of Ugandans make it, because you find someone employed earning a salary that cannot take even a single child of theirs to a good school, not so?
That's right.
When you find how much an average Ugandan spends on a day, average expenditure of an average Ugandan, vis-a-vis what they earn a day, they don't match, not so?
Right.
Now, that leaves this report something what we need to debate on. How do we ensure that these statistics given, that I was looking at the 20% because of climate, the 22% because of climate change, the 15% because of commodity prices, and the 9% because of low income, the 9%. How do we change this? And for me, when we talk about the 22% because of climate change, I think we need to shift away from rainfall-fed agriculture to begin with. Because much as we brag that agriculture is the backbone of Uganda, truth be told, you cannot have your backbone being agriculture and then the same statistics show that over 90% of your farmers depend on rainfall-fed agriculture. It doesn't make sense. You get it? That means what you're calling your backbone, if there is no rain, the people suffer. I was
the
in
backbone will go away.
Yes, and someone told me, for us, that when it begins a dry season, even each grass becomes dry. So those people literally have nothing to do except to pray to God and wait upon God. But we know very dry countries in this world that have concentrated on irrigation. And the farmers plant in and out of season. So if we have irrigation, then we can mitigate climate. Also being proactive. Sonko talked about the floods, you know. In these areas, how are we proactive to ensure that they don't affect the people? If it's relocation, is it being done and done at a very fast? Then when you talk about low yields, one thing, my brother and sister and the viewer, that annoys me, I'm very passionate about agriculture and I've traveled to a number of agricultural research institutes in this country. But guess what happens, Olive, there?
What?
You find this have very good research, but it has not gone down to the farmer. Yesterday I was at a farm in Nakaseke, and I found some disease attacking someone's cassava, you get it? But this very thing at Namuronge, we have a resistant type of cassava to that disease. You find someone goes into tomatoes, is suffering with wilt and all that, but we have a variety that is resistant to that. So how do we activate our extension workers, Ministry of Agriculture, because now there's rationalization? How do we empower them that Olive can get this advice on time? If Olive is going to plant, they plant high yield seeds. You get it? That you don't have a problem of low yields. No. Because in Uganda is where you find a farmer, all are growing maize. I plant longe 8, and for you plant some ordinary maize. Now, in an acre, I multiply what you get times 5, you who has 5 acres. Does it make sense?
No, it doesn't.
Why would someone have 5 acres? I have 1 acre, and I can have times 5 what this person is getting. Where is the problem? Ignorance. Because the solutions are with us. Our scientists, government has invested in them. They have come up with these various varieties, but the farmer is not aware of them. So if we can ensure I have irrigation, if we can ensure that we do have this research trickle down to the farmer, the extension workers are there, because believe you me, a big population of Ugandans still depend on agriculture. The only challenge is they're in subsistence agriculture. Even if you have programs like parish development model, and you give these people the money, but they cannot access the extension services. I'm going to get the money from my PDM circle. I go, I plant this ordinary maize. You get it? So if we can empower them with knowledge, give them the skills, then give them irrigation, these statistics are going to change dramatically. And then we look for marketing. Now, this is where we talk about the good old days of cooperatives. You remember? How do we ensure that our farmers aggregate what they collect? Then after aggregating what they have collected, they collect together. We look for potential markets for them. Because when they are one by one, scattered as they are, they lack bargaining voices for their goods. Remember, they lack the power for value addition. So a Chirabo from Kampala or a Sonko will just come and buy them cheaply. Yet here, they can have various markets. I know of some cooperatives, sorry, that is Chivinge. They even sell tons and tons of coffee to the European market because they have come together. So these statistics can change, and we have the capacity to change them. But do we have the will, and are we deliberate towards that?
Well, thank you, Robert. Now, if you're just joining us, we are addressing the high cost of living in Uganda because most Ugandans are struggling to earn a living. This is according to a report by Twaweza. It says that 68% of Ugandans, which is the majority of the country, are struggling to make a living. Now, they single out a few reasons as to why this is so, and among those are climate change, lack of access to quality education, among others. Now, before we actually move on, Jerem, I'd like to come back to you for just a few seconds regarding the access to quality education, because in my understanding we have the universal primary education schools, and we have the universal secondary education schools, and we also have tertiary institutions. But and also apart from international schools, which is a whole other curriculum, these schools have the same curriculum, be it private or government aided. So what makes the difference in the quality of education that is churned out to these students?
You know, with education, before we even get into class to study, everything is very different. The environment, the atmosphere, because the unfortunate bit is that most of the teachers are the same. That you'll find, let's say, a teacher who is
Your history teacher in Chibuli
is the same as one, let's say, in a public school. A teacher may be teaching a secondary SS because the government schools are secondary school, and then the other one might be, most of them are secondary schools actually. Then you'll find, let's say, someone teaching in, the other teaching in what you could term as the first class school. But when you look at the results coming in, you ask, why is this teacher, why are the students who study from, let's say, Sonko Secondary and not the same as those studying from Chitende? Then you start asking. These are all questions you sit down and start asking. But when you go back to the environments under which students study from, you look at the quality of the meals. I'm not even saying that all the schools in Uganda provide good quality meals, but at least there is a meal you look at and you're like, okay,
balanced.
There is some balanced bit of things here, and the quality is more consumable. That even if it was you as a parent, you would sit down and eat with your child. But then you'll find some meals from other schools and you're like, okay, it seems like this is what they have to offer. They just decided to.
It's also important to note that some schools do not even provide meals.
Exactly. So when you look into this situation, all of these are contributing factors. But then also look at the classrooms. Many parents have this tendency of making sure that before they even get into any school, so that before they pick the admission letter, they want to first be sure that the classrooms at least will be really comfortable for their children. They make, they go out and see how are the washrooms, for example, for boarding schools. How are the washrooms? You look at the bathrooms, the latrines. How are they? Because these are all contributors to how your child is going to perform, besides the meal. Then you look at the security level of the school. You look at the premises of the school. How are they appealing to the child's growth? All of these.
How are the teachers?
How are the teachers? How do they behave? How do they interact with the children or the students? All of these are contributors. Now, it is quite unfortunate that not so many parents come from a financial kind of
muscle.
Have that kind of financial backing to come out and make these, to make these investigations on their own. At times, due to lack of the finances and because you're short of funds, you're like, let me go with what I have, as long as the child is in school. So and at the end of the day, it's going to affect the child. Because these are the same conversations we normally have telling the government that, well, you do not expect a child who is studying under the tree shade to perform at the same level as a child who is always studying, regardless of whether it's raining or not.
They have the comfort of good classrooms, scholastic materials, meals. They are not studying with an empty stomach.
And it's reflecting on the results they are receiving.
Okay. Okay. And I've also heard of reasons, contributors like the non-favorable pay to teachers, especially in public schools, vis-a-vis their counterparts in private schools. So it's a whole bunch of reasons as to why many Ugandans are struggling to earn a living. Not one reason, some of them are really deep, and they are catalysts to this high level of failure to earn a living. Now, you can join the conversation through WhatsApp number 0709602592. You can also call the same number. Now, when you're calling, you're not calling through WhatsApp. You call directly, and we will be able to receive your calls so that we can hear your views regarding the same. Now, Robert, before I share some of the views that are coming through, the report highlights increased economic hardship, especially in rural areas in the eastern and northern regions of the country. I would like to know, in your perspective and briefly, how you think targeted interventions can be designed to address these regional disparities.
One, we must deliberately focus on mindset change. That is very important. Because like I told you, there are some villages you traverse and the youth, and remember in Uganda there's a saying, evidence translate olive. enviri enzirugavu zezikolerera enjeru.
Robert, I will have to directly translate and I don't want to do that.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Enviri enjeru.
Enviri enzirugavu zezikolerera enjeru.
Okay, black hair works for white hair. I don't know what that means.
Well, literally means that when you're still young, you have black hair. So you work very hard so that by the time you get gray hair, you know, you live a decent life because you did work hard.
Because in your young years.
Yeah, so now when you go to these villages, remember a biggest chunk of our population are youth. But what are these youth engaged in? They need mindset change. Many of them are thinking of white collar jobs. You go to town centers, they are drunk, they're in pool table, they're in betting, gambling, you know. So we need to first of all have mindset change as a government intervention, deliberate, and I want to use that word. Then also, we need to ensure that they understand the factors of production. If you're in northern Uganda, what is that you can do that can give you money and meaningful money? If you're going in agriculture, how do we perfect the art of agriculture where you're going? That means you have good seedlings. The good seedlings means they mature very fast, they have very good yields, and they are resistant to pests and diseases. If you're in cattle, you have the right breed. The right breed matures very fast. The right breed gives high yields in terms of if you've got in beef or cattle, you have milk, and it is resistant. So whatever venture, if you're going into skilling them, we have startup capital to give these youth. Because still much as they have the skill, even if you become a good plumber, still need a toolbox or something like that. So we need to be deliberate and do whatever we are doing with perfection. It's bad being everywhere but nowhere. Yes, when we have a group of youth, we are doing this. Rather, let's take it in a piecemeal way so that we are deliberate. These youth can work, and they can work and benefit. Not these issues where you find a group of youth at 6 going to the garden. They even spend their day there. They cook from there. And guess what they are doing? At the end of the day, they are having low yields because they have poor seedlings, because they don't have the fertilizers that are needed. You know?
Well, thank you, Robert. Now, we have a few views that have come through WhatsApp. And the first one is from Cricket Derek Gagamel from Makinde Luafu. And he says, good morning, lady and gentlemen. We must note that majority of Ugandans are illiterate and are in informal sector. So the youth mainly, you find that the available jobs don't match their qualifications, yet they are willing to work. Secondly, this digitalization era is also disadvantageous to workers. You find that a job that would have been done by 10 people is done by one using a computer or any other gadgets in limited time. And he goes on to say this also creates a gap for unemployment. And lastly, we can't shy away from the fact that some Ugandans, mainly the youth, are lazy. They deliberately don't want to work even when jobs are available. That is a view from Cricket Derek Gagamel. Now, we have some that are coming on through the phone calls. And hello. 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 Well, we seem to have lost that one, but the next comment comes from Nai. He says, thanks for the show. Olive, this is Nai from Ginger. How do we expect to get money and yet the government is decreasing interest like on sugarcane? And Olivia Smart, thank you so much. So he's wondering, for instance, is it a ton of sugar canes that has gone from 250,000 to 50,000? So he's like, how are we going to make money and how are we going to get jobs? And then the next comment says many Ugandans don't want to work, especially the rural men. Early in the centers drinking, and whatever they sell goes to the drink. Those who have animals like cows and goats do not give them care like treatment and feeding, water, etc., so they don't multiply. Others plant the same crops, so market is complete. We have someone on the line. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, how are you? Who are we speaking to?
You are speaking to Alex.
Yes, Alex.
How are you?
Good morning. What's your view regarding the high cost of living? We have lost Alex, but I was still reading this comment, and she goes on to say others plant the same crops, so the market is competed for. Most Ugandans, apart from Western Uganda, have portioned their land and now have nowhere to do farming and agriculture. Most land has lost its fertility, so need for new methods of farming. And she goes on to say few producers and many consumers, so there is need for people to be taught to do things which can give constant money, like animal rearing and crops which are eatable and sold too. And she says government schools lack supervision and the teachers relax doing other things apart from teaching, and also the parents' input is also lacking, because they sit and agree they should sit and agree on how to enhance their children welfare in village schools. You didn't leave your name, but thank you so much for your comment. And then the next one, he says, I love you so much, UBC. I'm from Malawi. I'm Malawian. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have another call on the line. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Hello. Who are we speaking to?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yes, the problem, all the problem is coming from, I think from that. Hello?
Yes, please.
The problem is coming from government.
Okay.
Government has failed to control how is you.
Oh dear, we've lost him, but he was bringing in some views. And the last comment I will share is from Phillips in Karamoja. He says, thank you for the show. Then if compensation not adequate, then value humans and act immediately. Wildlife is grabbing land for I'm not sure I understand what you mean here, but he says land does not increase while human population is increasing. What do you say about this? We in Karamoja are not benefiting in employment, and most of the land here has been gazetted for wildlife. What is the percentage of the locals in terms of recruitment? So much more coming in from you. We thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we do value your input, so we can continue the conversation online. The hashtag is UBCGMU. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't go.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
So you're welcome. My name is Dan, your guide at the Equator Korongo, where is an experiment to show us the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, and the equator line. So basically, we demonstrate to you a force caused by the Earth's rotation. It is called the Coriolis force. So Coriolis was a Frenchman. He's the one who discovered this. So he said objects are attached to the Earth's surface, like hurricanes, giant storms. When they are spinning in the northern hemisphere, they spin counterclockwise. But here now, the water is not attached to the Earth's surface. It spins clockwise in the northern hemisphere. Why? Because objects in the north are normally deflected to the right by the Coriolis effect. So this is not the only experiment that shows to you the Earth spins. In another one, they use a pendulum. It's named after a Frenchman. It's called the Foucault. So you release that Foucault pendulum in the north. It will also spin clockwise. You find that pendulum around serious science universities and museums around the globe, showing you the same thing. So we name the Bowel polar bears. These are ice animals. You only find them in the Arctic. And actually the word Arctic comes from a Greek word, Arctos, meaning bears, then Antarctic means no bears. So we shall cross to the southern hemisphere and check the difference. So we have a stopover here. So right here we have preserved snakes. This is our moving museums. When some of you may ask why do we have a dead specimen. When the death is natural and when something dies, you can maintain it for educational purposes. So we have these preserved snakes in here. This liquid is formaldehyde. It preserves dead bodies, therefore they cannot rot. They will stay like this. So why do we have them? We do sell black stones. When you're hit by a snake, a scorpion, you cut on the bitten limb, you apply it. It will stick like magnet, then absorb the venom. So some people say it is a myth, but it is not. When you take poisoned food, you run to hospital, they will give you activated charcoal tablets. So charcoal is medicine. So that's the science of the charcoal is adsorption. And this is the Blackstone also uses adsorption. However, this is for external use and activated charcoal is for internal use. So we sell it 50,000. You have it in your household. You can be a doctor to anyone else. So we go to the south. Yes, you buy. Hey, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, somebody. Yeah, thank you. So we continue to the south.
Make sure you're beaten by one.
Yeah. So now you are welcome to the land of penguins. So these penguins are also ice animals like bears. But penguins stay on the South Pole and bears on the North Pole. That's how amazing God is. They are all ice animals but stay on opposite direction. So let us see what will happen right in the south. So we stabilize the water, then let it spin. So as it spins, it will form a vortex in the middle. That circle in the middle is called the vortex. So when you put the leaf, now you see it go counterclockwise. So that tells you cross from the north, you are now in the southern hemisphere. So the Coriolis effect applies to aeroplanes, bullets, rockets, missiles, artillery. Aeroplanes in the north veer to the right, in the south they veer to the left. It's called a jet stream. So aeroplanes never go in a straight line. Likewise, you shoot a bullet long range in the north, it sways to the right. In the south, it sways to the left. So snipers will tell you to hit your target, you need to know the hemisphere for you to get a proper trajectory. So it applies even to rockets. Most of them are launched closer to the equator. And the equator rockets go faster and straight, but far away they are deflected from the target. That's why, for example, in Europe, their launching station is in South America. The station is called French Guiana. And for Americans, they chose Florida and Texas. Those states are closer to the equator than the rest. So we go to the equator and see what will happen. Yes, equator line. The Spanish word for equator. So that country is called Equator. So yes, Ecuador. So it was discovered 1700 years back by the Frenchmen. So after Ecuador, it goes to Colombia, then Brazil. In Africa, Sao Tome and Principe, Gabon, Congo Brazzaville, DRC Congo, Uganda, Kenya and Somalia. Asia, Maldives, Kiribati, Singapore, Indonesia and Malaysia.
What is that knife for?
It stabilizes the water.
Okay.
So the circumference of the equator is 40,077 kilometers. And when you stand here on the equinox day, noontime, you won't see your shadow. It happens 21st of March and 23rd September. So those 2 dates mark the beginning of rainy season. That's when the sun is crossing from one hemisphere to another. Still on the line, you are lighter, you are less by a kg. Why? Centrifugal forces make you lighter here. We are far away from the center of planets than the poles. So at the poles you are heavier, at the equator you are lighter. So let us see what will happen right at the center. So you notice here, the leaf goes on down the drain straight. So the reason it does not spin is the same reason cyclones, tornadoes, hurricanes never cross the equator. They are deflected to the right, to the left. A bulge is created in the middle. That bulge at high school, we call it the intertropical convergence zone. It's where winds from the north and the south, when they reach the equator, they come down. So for that reason, you should all thank God you are born in the Pearl of Africa. No tornadoes, no hurricanes, no cyclones in your motherland.
Hallelujah!
Well, good morning and good to have your company here on Good Morning Uganda, and it's time for us to get into the world of business. My name is Jerome Paul Sonko. Now, starting off, we have a developing story coming in this morning, taking us to Kalere Market. The development is showing that fire has ravaged in the early morning the lower section of Kalere Market, and it has caused damage to property worth millions for the many. As with the fire gutting, it has left quite a number of stalls destroyed, and at the same time, before we came on air, the fire brigade was already on ground in Kalere to ensure that they put down the fire. But of course, by the time they reached, you can easily see those are some of the scenes as of this early morning in Kalere. And of course, it is a developing story that we'll be giving you more of the same, but just a few of the images from the incident that occurred this early morning on the 11th of Monday, November 2024. Fire has ravaged the lower section of the Kalere Market. Quite a number of property has been destroyed that is worth millions. The damages caused, of course, including stalls, including a number of businesses that have been destroyed. And in the same regard, a number of people have been left without any source of income. And of course, that is one of the images that has so far come out from the same, but since it's a developing report, we shall be giving you more details regarding the same later on as we move in with our proceeding bulletins here on UBC TV. Now, that said, we turn our focus onto the same report that we were focusing on in our newsreel, the same report that has found that most Ugandans are struggling to earn a living. Now, in this report, according to Sauti za Wananchi report by Twaweza, a non-government organization that tracks citizens' views on a wide range of issues, has found that as many as 68% of Ugandans reported that they are increasingly finding it very difficult to earn a living due to poverty. Now, the majority of citizens indicate that securing necessities for their households has become increasingly challenging over the past 5 to 10 years. Those from lower income backgrounds and rural areas, particularly in the eastern and northern regions of the country, are slightly more likely to report hardship in securing necessities. This struggle is prevalent across households, regardless of their level of reliance on agriculture for sustenance and income, the report noted. Now, the report also notes that the main reasons given for the increased difficulty in securing basic needs are climatic changes at 22%, low crop yields at 15%, an increase in the price of commodities at 9%, and low income at 9%, part of it. Now, these different responses highlight that individuals, citizens and households face different circumstances according to a range of factors. However, this should not disguise the fact that overall citizens report that making a living is becoming harder. Now, those who were sampled also point out a lack of employment opportunities, lack of capital for investments, there is lack of education and widespread corruption, among others, as the leading causes of poverty. The report also notes that the answer to the reduction of poverty among most Ugandans lies in the government's increasing capital investment and a deliberate effort to rein in corruption. Now, in one of these, the recent massive defending rationalization of Uganda Coffee Development Authority, the president said most Ugandans are now part of the money economy and in essence have been pulled out of poverty. Now, if UCDA and NADS were successful, why were 68% of the homesteads still outside the money economy? And in the same report, you get to realize that Mr. Museveni did reveal this during his defense of the rationalization of the UCDA and NADS. Now, away from that, now 2026 will see Uganda head to the polls for the time where many Ugandans decide who will be ruling them and also who will be representing them at the different levels of government administration for the next 5 years. Now, in our next report, the government has warned NGOs against foreign donor funding as we head to the polls in 2026. Remember, the roadmap was already released, meaning by 2025, campaigns and primaries will be up and running. But the Minister of Internal Affairs has warned non-government organizations to desist from taking up foreign donor fundings with stringent conditions ahead of the 2026 general elections. According to the ministry, several NGOs seized operations in Uganda after the heated 2021 elections, as some were suspended by the government. Now, also, NGO Bureau Executive Director Stephen Okello said that the country had over 14,200 NGOs in 2019, but the figure has now dropped to around 6,000 in 2024. And he is, in 2021, President Museveni suspended the Democratic Governance Facility, accusing it of operating a huge fund without proper government oversight. Now, the same year, government through the NGO Bureau also suspended operations of 54 NGOs. Now, when you look at this, Ugandans have also been urged to draw lessons from the November 5th elections in the United States, where voter turnout was high and uninterrupted. And this is also heading to the government and the preparations for the 2026 elections. And well, that does it for our business updates this morning, and we leave you with footage of what was happening early this morning in Kalere as the lower section of the market was ravaged by fire. Well, those are the updates coming in. Like I did mention, that's a developing story. We shall be giving you more updates as they come through. But that said, we turn our focus on the forex market to see how the Ugandan shilling has been faring against the foreign currencies on the exchange. Closing time by Friday, sorry. The US dollar was buying at 3,654.68, while selling at 3,664.68. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,739.75 while selling at 4,752.72. The euro 3,940.11 while selling at 3,950.89. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 28.33 while selling at 28.41. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.36 while selling at 1.36. The South African rand was buying at 210.56 while selling at 211.14. Well, that does it for business this Monday, the 11th of November. Olive Monica Najuma is here with the traffic updates. Stick around. Good morning.
Well, it's time for our traffic updates. I'm Olive Monica Najima, and we are starting in the environs of Bugolobi, right where Chireka Road and Portbell Road, which brings you from areas like Luzira and Ichtintali connect. And what I see here is that we have intense traffic jam right around the area that has Shell, and as you continue to the areas of Silver Springs. The traffic situation here looks quite intense for those that are coming in from the side of Mutungo, or those going to the side of Mutungo as well, but also those that are coming in from Tintali. So here you're going to lose a bit of time, also because there is ongoing road construction in this very space of the road. Now, continuing still with Portbell Road, I see that later on, as we connect to Spring Road, then the traffic situation lets up, and we have smooth flow of traffic over here. And I would like for us to still continue with the same new Portbell Road and see how we can get to areas like Nakawa. Now, those that are using Ismail Road, many use this as an alternate route to avoid traffic jam. But what I see on Ismail Road is a yellow zone and also a red zone, which is indicative of traffic jam still on this side. So if you're planning on using Ismail Road to connect to Spring Road, I would advise that you actually stick to the Chireka Road, because in as much as in the intersection there was traffic, there is the other road right behind shows that there is smooth flow of traffic. Now, Chwa Road is very clear. There is smooth flow of traffic there. And continuing with New Portbell Road, I see that we have a smooth flow of traffic. Now, I'd like for us to continue ahead and see how the traffic situation looks up until when we get to Nakawa. And the good news is that the entire stretch of New Portbell Road has smooth flow of traffic. I only see traffic in Nakawa, but this is at the traffic lights, so the situation looks pretty good. And following the Kampala Ginger Highway, right from there, we have smooth flow of traffic all through. That's what I see along Ginger Road. But as you get into the environs of where you're connecting to Game, then the former Game, then here we have a bit of traffic jam, but still continuing with the same. I see Acha Road is bringing in smooth flow of traffic, and as we continue still with the Kampala Ginger Highway, now as we connect to the Ginger Road traffic lights, I see that First Street is bringing in traffic jam, and as we get to the roundabout, there is a delay you're going to experience here because Old Portbell Road is bringing in a bit of traffic jam into the main Ginger Road highway, but it's not so intense, so you won't lose much time over here. And I see that Yusuf Ali Road has a bit of traffic for those that are going the side of Access Road, but if you're continuing with Ginger Road to connect to Kampala Road, you're going to find some traffic just outside Victoria University, but then after that there is smooth flow of traffic. Parliament Avenue looks pretty clean, so the city looks pretty well. Colville Street, the same, there is smooth flow of traffic over here. Pilkington Road, the same. Speak Road has a bit of a yellow zone, but not for a long stretch. And that is how the traffic situation looks in the middle of town today. Where you're coming from, if you're coming from the areas of Bugolobi, you will only experience a delay at the intersection from Chitintali, that is Old Portbell Road, connecting to Chireka Road. But after that, you should be free to move without any encumbrances. But you should also know, with traffic, everything can change in a few minutes. Stick around as we are coming back to have a conversation regarding buying and building Uganda through skills development of children.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, They've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to today's episode. In this informative video, we will be discussing the essential tips that can greatly contribute to maintaining healthy kidneys. So let's dive in. Tip number 1, stay hydrated. Drinking an adequate amount of water is essential for kidney function. It helps flush out toxins and waste products from the body. Aim for at least 8 glasses of water a day to keep your kidneys hydrated and functioning optimally. Tip number 2, eat a balanced diet. Include fruits, vegetables, and whole grains in your meals. Avoid excessive salt and processed foods that can put strain on your kidneys. A healthy diet will provide essential nutrients and support kidney health. Limit the intake of processed foods, salt, and added sugars. Tip number 3, control blood pressure. High blood pressure can damage the kidneys over time. Monitor and manage your blood pressure through a healthy lifestyle, including a low-sodium diet, regular exercise, and stress management. Tip number 4, maintain a healthy weight. Being overweight or obese can increase the risk of kidney disease. Adopting a healthy diet and regular exercise can help maintain a healthy weight. Tip number 5, monitor blood sugar. High blood sugar levels can damage the kidneys. If you have diabetes, manage your blood sugar levels through medication, a balanced diet, and regular exercise. Tip number 6, quit smoking. Smoking narrows blood vessels and reduces blood flow to the kidneys, leading to kidney damage. Kick the habit for better kidney health. Tip number 7, limit alcohol consumption. Moderation is key. Excessive alcohol consumption can strain the kidneys and contribute to kidney damage. Limit your alcohol intake to protect their long-term function. Tip number 8, limit your salt intake. Too much salt can raise your blood pressure and strain your kidneys. Opt for low-sodium alternatives whenever possible. Tip number 9, limit over-the-counter painkillers. Overuse of non-prescription pain relievers, such as NSAIDs, can harm the kidneys. Use these medications with caution and follow the recommended dosage. Consult your doctor for safer alternatives. Tip number 10, regular health checkups. Schedule regular checkups with your healthcare provider. Monitoring blood pressure, blood sugar levels, and kidney function through routine tests is important for early detection of potential issue. By following these 10 essential tips, you can take control of your kidney health and prevent future complications. Thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more valuable information on maintaining a healthy lifestyle. This program is produced by Sani Production, powered by UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't
can now get all the chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Are you tired of skipping breakfast because you're short on time in the morning? Well, we've got you covered with these quick and healthy breakfast ideas that you can make in a flash. Number 1. Greek Yogurt Parfait. Create a delightful Greek yogurt parfait by layering a cup of Greek yogurt with fresh berries, granola, and a drizzle of honey. The creamy yogurt provides protein, while the berries add natural sweetness and antioxidants. Granola contributes a satisfying crunch and whole grains. Optionally, add nuts or seeds for extra texture and nutrients. Whether enjoyed in a bowl or a glass, this parfait offers a balance of flavors and nutritional benefits. Number 2. Avocado toast. Start by mashing a ripe avocado and spreading it over a slice of whole grain toast. Sprinkle a pinch of salt, pepper, and red pepper flakes for flavor. For added protein, top it with a poached or fried egg. This combination provides a good balance of healthy fats, fiber, and protein, making it a satisfying and energy-boosting option. Customize it further with toppings like